Hey guys, I just wanted to insert here. There's a portion of this video where I do speak about how I was at a specific church and I was just sitting there and no one interacted or spoke to me. I was there for the majority of the time on my own, sitting down, and very little interaction. However, I do want to make a correction to that because there was one lady. The exception was one woman who came and she sat down with me. So even though everything happened the way that I said it did, I thought it was very crucial that I added that part, because I did forget to add that yes, there was someone who did come over and who did sit with me at some point. All right, guys. And this video is going to bless you guys. The way things happened here, you would have thought that I did something really horrible, upon leaving, but I did not. I simply obeyed the Lord. But hey, it is what it is. So I hope it encourages you. Guys, sometimes God will put you in positions that you don't understand. And it may just feel like egg on your face. It just feels like, Lord, why are you doing this to me? But there's always a reason. We think about when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane. He was faced with so many things. It seems that him coming to earth and in the form of flesh, it seems like it would have been more convenient for him to have been born to a wealthy family. And meaning perhaps within the house of the Pharisees or a scribe, maybe his message would have been more received. If he had come down in all his splendor, absolutely, he would have been more received. But yet he came in a very unassuming form, and he was, how do we say this? He just went to places where Jesus went to places where he was sent, and yet he would be reviled or ridiculed, disrespected. He's been slapped in the face. He has been accused of being a devil, and he was shunned in a lot of ways. But he was sent for the few. You see those 12 disciples that stayed with him? He was sent there. He's going to get them, and he's going to preach the gospel to them and teach them some things, and then they were going to spread the gospel. And so sometimes you can't see the bigger picture of what God has for you when you're in these places where you just feels like you're just going through so much oppression, it feels like at times, right? I remember I did a testimony about this where I say sometimes God will take you back to promote you forward. And it's a part 1 and part 2 video that I did about that. And it was about when the Lord had me to return to a church. And I was like, Lord, why are you sending me back here? And he did not tell me until after the fact, until he was pulling me out of there, after I obeyed him and did everything he told me to do, humbled myself and just went, And why I felt like it was humbling is because of how I was treated when I went back there, the way they dealt with me. I remember when I first went back there, it was a Wednesday night, and they were doing I thought it would be Bible study, but they were doing something really informal, and it was more of a social gathering, so to speak. And everybody's working on posters and doing things like that. And, guys, it was so funny. I went back. I was sitting alone. Now, this is a setting where everybody had these huge tables set up. And then, you're getting posters and some things to create some things. And outside of my children who were with me, and I was helping them getting their stuff together, I sat by myself in this informal setting where people knew me because I was in that church before, and they hardly spoke to me. The pastor came up and he spoke to me and everything, because he's always been nice. I can't say anything about that, but to be in a church where you've been there before and they knew you, and then you return, it was really weird to see how the little reception that I received I mean, don't get me wrong, people spoke to me here and there. You know, it was just, it wouldn't even be how you would treat a newcomer. You know, when you're a newcomer to the church and people don't know you, how they just draw to you like a bunch of bees. It wasn't even like that. It was just kind of like I think like if I was in the same vicinity, like at one point I had to go and grab like a specific magazine so I can do these cutouts or whatever. And so when I was near that area, there was somebody else that was there and they were like, oh, hey, you know, something like that. But for the majority of the time, I sat alone with my children. Of course, distracted in a sense because, you know, they needed help putting their little colors on or sticking, helping them with a glue and whatever. But those are some of the moments where I was like, God, why do you have me here? Why do you have me here? And there were just so many little things I spoke about to you guys where I went. And then there was, I called it the Praise Team Chronicles. I did a video on that. And where I thought, okay, well, perhaps I'm supposed to be serving with my gifts and talents here. And, you know, that was shunned too. That was shunned. I mean, there are things that I experienced, but you have to watch that video. It's called Praise Team Chronicles. So if you ensure that you're in my search engine and you put Praise Team, you see those things. So going through that, and this was nothing new. I've encountered this before. I didn't go to church a lot because I served in the military. But when I went to different places, I saw this type of spirit all the time, you know, and whenever I chose to truly try to get to know God, I would encounter this in people. But I'm going to stick to what I was saying here, that I didn't understand my purpose. I had not done my channel yet. That wasn't even a thought in my head to do it. But there are things that I had to go through. There's a purpose in me being there. And what the Lord was doing was working on my heart. And would I still obey him? Not only that, my ex was going to that church and I was just like, oh my gosh, my fiance and my ex-fiance. And I didn't want to do that because one of the things with me, guys, is like, I don't even like to give the any bit of a thought like, oh, I'm trying to get you back. And I was like, oh my gosh, this right here is gonna look like but the thing was, I love God so much. He had done so much in my life. I love the Lord so much that even if I was gonna look like I'm thirsty, or if it looks or people assume things about me, it's okay. And so I was able to just truly worship God and just keep going. Even when I was disrespected in that church, I was disrespected. I was treated in a way where people were doing that nasty passive aggressive behavior towards me, walking by me, not speaking to me. And then, as I said, one Sunday, as I was getting ready to leave, but church was still going, but I had to leave because I was taking some classes. So I had to get back to finish a paper. And, as I was walking through the foyer, this young lady was in there and she made a very nasty remark to me. And now she was, at the time I did not know, but the following Sunday when I went back to church, I realized she was a part of the leadership. I guess, I don't know if she's family or she's close to the family. And so here's this young lady who, when I was going there before, I don't know her. We've never hung around other than, when you go around and you greet people in the church, you know how they do that 1 minute thing that you go around and you say hello to your neighbors, during the service. That's all I know about her. But somehow she felt that she could look me up and down and make a nasty comment towards me in the presence of a gentleman that she was with. This is what I was experiencing in this church, in addition to all the other stuff that people who I would have thought would know better. Nope. So I was like, Lord, why am I here? Why am I here? And he just kept saying to me, just trust me, just trust me. And at the end of it all, I remember the time that he told me that he said, it's going to be your last day. No, he gave me a date. He said March 16th. And I was thinking, oh, that's my dad's birthday. And then he was like, no, that's your last day. And once I left there, he made it so clear to me why I was there, my purpose. And it was just amazing. And that's when he was telling me about the channel. He wanted me to start the YouTube channel, but there were just things that he had to ensure I did not have any animosity or anything towards anyone. And then there were just so many things that he had to teach me in those things. And guys, sometimes the Lord will take you backwards to promote you forward. And I'm sharing this with you because sometimes you go through some really messed up things and you're wondering, Lord, why am I experiencing this? Why am I going through this? And sometimes, guys, we're going to have to walk through the very things that we're going to have to teach and preach to others. We're going to walk through and go through the very things or experience the very things that others, you're going to be able to minister to them effectively. And sometimes you may not go through everything, but the Lord will give you that ability to be able to minister to people in ways that only can be done through the power of the Holy Spirit and through you walking through the fire. And so sometimes, guys, you're walking through the fire right now. You're walking through the fire when you're being rejected. You're walking through the fire when you're being ridiculed and scorned. You're walking through the fire when you feel like you're all alone. You've been lied on. When the church is playing games, you're walking through the fire. And many times, guys, the purpose of a lot of these, some places is if they cannot control you, then they are going to reject you. If they cannot control you, they cannot reject you.
They will reject you.
If they feel that you have ulterior motives, they're going to reject you. And one of the things that the Lord had revealed to me eventually, not immediately, but eventually, was because they thought I came back for my ex. They thought I came back to try to get with him. And eyes were already out for him. By whom and specifically what? I mean, he revealed one person to me, and that person is already married. But this person had a spirit of lust on them. This person was obviously had an attraction to my ex, and me coming back to that church, she felt like apparently I had ulterior motives. So he showed me that. And, people sometimes are that way. When you're in a church, it shouldn't be like, oh, well, it's us and them. Because even if I was a sinner and I'd done horrible things, even if that was what I was doing, you should never treat a person like that. So these are things that God will let you go through so you can be in the hot seat and you can experience some things, guys, so that you can really see the truth of what can happen within the body of Christ, so you can have compassion with other people. Because if you don't experience certain things, when people come that way to you, you're going to be very indifferent. You're going to be giving them blanket statements. You're not going to be able to reach them. And then sometimes God has to show you the heart of man and what's there. And he can maybe even show you that maybe at some point you are walking in that. And God's like, this is what I freed you from. And now I want to put you on another path. You see, the Lord was in the synagogue, but he didn't stay in the synagogue. The Lord was around the Pharisees and the scribes. He even went to dinner. They invited him to dinner. He went there, and it turns out they were whispering against him when I want to say this was a prostitute or something like that. She came and she poured the alabaster box, poured the ointment on him right before his burial. They were talking about him with that. So Jesus has a purpose in everything that he does in your life. When you get around people and they're rejecting you, you know you're not doing anything wrong. And it's a lot of times because those principalities and powers in that place, you do not gel and you do not vibe there. The Lord will have you walk through some things and experience things, but how we behave during those times is crucial, because I did not know what God was going to do. I did not know that he was going to eventually lead me to start a YouTube channel. I did not know that. And so what he deals with, how he's going to deal with you, he's going to take you down that path and let you deal with everything that may be a source of pain for you, because you cannot minister to people if you're still wounded and gashing from a wound or are still bleeding from a wound because you will minister out of animosity and resentment. You have to go through the process of forgiving people. And he had me do that. The thing was, it was not just the church that was the area in which the Lord dealt with me. It was other things that happened, maybe things that I experienced with people outside of the church. And the Lord had me deal with all those things. And sometimes I was like, Lord, you are really doing me wrong right now. It feels like you're telling me to say sorry to everybody. They're the one that started it. You want me to apologize first? Oh my gosh. But one thing that changed my heart was Jesus said, will you do it for me, Arlene? Not for them, but will you do it for me? And I bust out crying because I was like, of course, Lord. And that's just been my thing. For you, Lord, I will forgive. And for you, Lord, I will separate myself when you tell me to separate. For you, Lord, I will close all doors. For you, God, I will cut the ties you tell me to. Because you know what? There's nothing that we should not want to do for him, because he was so sad, and it's like he got so sad and had anxiety in the Garden of Gethsemane. That's all I can take it to be sweating and so sad and asking several times, Lord, if it's possible, could you let this cup pass from me? But yet he still did it. And so even though there are cups that we would love to have just pass from us, or we just want to slap them over, we are still doing this for God. And so when you're going through some things, guys, your tribulations and the things that you're experiencing, know that these things also happen to our master. He walked through these things. He went through these things. And you have to focus on the greater purpose in all that you're going through. The crushing that is going on is going to produce a beautiful oil that you are going to be able to share with others. You're going to be able to be a salve to their wounds. You're going to be able to say a word that's needed right at that moment. And then through you, as you speak, they're going to experience the power of God, and then they'll be able to thrive and to grow, and then have their oil and be able to pour into others, and the process continues. Nothing that you're doing is in vain. The things that you're going through, it may not seem fair, and truly it's not fair. But always know, if you're in God's will, everything that you're doing is going to work together for your good and for his glory. So be encouraged. All right, guys. Bye.